I think the worst definition of evolution is simply change, because all you have to do there is demonstrate that change happens, and ergo evolution happens. But that's not the point. Nobody says that stasis is the natural state of things. We know that change happens, but that hardly demonstrates directional changes that I think evolution is all about. But that has to be the worst definition of evolution.
Evolution is a process by which living things progress through various stages, starting from the simplest forms of life to the most complex forms of life.
Evolution is the story that one kind of creature changed into a completely different kind of creature over millions of years of reproduction.
So in the teaching of evolution, of course, what you have is down through time, the human form or an animal form evolving into different forms. That's really quite a concept.
In fact, the whole sweep of evolution from beginning to man could go something like this. Hydrogen is a colorless and odorless gas which if given enough time, turns into people. And that would be the whole sweep of evolution from the Big Bang to humans.
Commonly, the evolutionists will put before us an immune system, and they'll show the quote-unquote evolution of the immune system. The immune system is made to change in response to different things that it's confronted with. It is designed, in a sense, to do that, or it does that. But it remains an immune system. It does not become a digestive system. It does not become an auditory system. It remains an immune system.
Certainly we see microevolution. We're okay with that. And that's where I think science really does make a very, very positive contribution.
The theory of universal common descent actually looks at the similarities and tries to come up with patterns that would allow us to say, what has a common ancestor? That is a very well-developed theory, very well-developed, and it has a lot going for it, many lines that point in that direction. But when you start saying mechanisms by which those occur, those mechanisms are non-existent. Some people say, oh, the mechanisms are well understood. And then you ask for the details, you see that the mechanisms are not well understood at all.
Microevolution? Little changes, adaptations, people getting taller over a few generations? Yes. Changing species? Doesn't make sense.
Life is such an improbable thing that most evolutionists argue that the origin of life is not part of the theory of evolution. They say the theory of evolution assumes and begins with life, and we talk about then the mutations and copy errors, but they have to explain the origin of life too.
When science kind of really came together and said, yeah, we think there's a beginning, we're going to call it the Big Bang, that really shook the world, because that matched up with the Judeo-Christian Genesis model that God spoke and then that thing started. There was a beginning.
I think a lot of people who don't want to believe in a God of the Bible use evolution as their excuse to dismiss Christianity. And ultimately, I think many of these people don't want to be beholden to a creator God who has set standards in his word of conduct. And there's so much immorality going on in the world today, and people can use their evolutionary worldview to justify their behavior. Because if there's no creator, if he hasn't told us how to live our lives, then we can do whatever we want. So I would say evolution can be a so-called scientific justification for people's immorality today.
You can make a philosophical argument. If I'm speaking to an atheist, I'll say, so you think everything is the product of time and chance? Yes. So you think my body is the product of time and chance? Yes. My mind? Yes. The thoughts I'm thinking, the words I'm speaking are chemical reactions? Yes. Well, how do you know we've been having a conversation? To me, atheistic evolution leads to philosophical incoherence.
If we evolve by chance, what is life's purpose? What is life's meaning? What is life's destiny? So evolution is not simply a science. It really impacts philosophically how you see life, how you view yourself, and your purpose in life.
I've been in 25 countries, and in every country it's taught the same. It's the only view taught, and if students are never allowed to hear any scientific criticisms of evolution in millions of years, it's no surprise they believe it.
The idea of evolution that's being taught in the schools, that people grew out of some lower forms of life is frankly, I think, the biggest conspiracy in the world today.
Now, if you can discredit what it says in Genesis, then you don't need the cross. If you can discredit what it says in Genesis, then Jesus doesn't have to become a man and die in our place. If you can discredit Genesis, maybe sin isn't a problem and we'll just evolve our way out of it, and we can't control our behavior anyway because it's all hardwired into our genetics and we'll improve over the generations. It's a way of escaping the reality of sin and guilt before a holy God. That's not a solution for the Christian. The solution is plain. We come to God, we confess our sins, and He's faithful and just to forgive us our sins. That's God's solution.